startup. You have to think of like from day one of Facebook. You're always going to try out new ideas. You got to just stick to your
plan. So, in terms of like your job, what were you actually doing for your job?
I was working as a recruiter. So I was working in the construction industry as a headhunter. And so I was placing people in jobs that built big commercial properties.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool, man. We had like a sweet office. It was literally like the show The Office. And I think everybody probably thinks that when they're going to their office, right? But we had a really cool office of just like a unique set of characters, because essentially we're all salesmen. And so, salesmen are their own breed of people of all different walks of life. And so we had this just awesome group of people. I just didn't like the job, but I loved going to work because the people I work with are awesome.
So was the goal always to leave that job and be a full-time trader?
I didn't know. At one point I thought, well, I always want to be an entrepreneur, a businessman. And so, when I was in this recruiting business, I thought, well, maybe I'll start my own, or maybe I'll be able to take this one over. It was always in the back of my mind to work for myself and, do my own thing. But I didn't like going to the office, at some point. Like, I didn't like it in the winter. Like, I love my office and my people, but if you're from Michigan, like, you'll see it, that dead of winter, that December, when it's so cold it gets in your bones, where it's so cold where you have to leave your car running for 10 minutes before you get into it so you can go to work. But then even to go into your car and turn it on is like this back-breaking thing. It's just so cold, and it gets into your psyche. A few winters of that, of driving through the snow, an hour to work every day, an hour back in traffic, and that wears on you, because in reality, you only have a few hours of free time a day, right? Maybe even less than that. So when you're spending 2 hours commuting in the winter, and it's always dark and it's always snowing, that just wears on you over time. And so as much as I like the people I worked with, after a couple years, I was like, man, I don't know if I can make this all work. Like, I'm not meant for this. I'm not meant to be sitting in the cubicle and talking, having meetings and sitting in traffic, and sitting there just in disgust, like, man, it's freezing and I'm in traffic and I'm going to be stuck there all day. It's dark when I'm going in at 6 a.m. It's going to be dark when I leave at 7 p.m. I don't know if, at some point I was just like, I don't know if that's what I want my life to be like.
So take us through the day when you knew you were going in there to quit.
Oh, so I had set that up for many of months in advance. That type of thing is never an event, like a final event. It's a decision you make way before, and it takes months and months to set up. And so, I had planned it a year in advance. Okay, I need to save some money so that I have a big trading account. I need to have money saved up to pay my bills, like when I first do this, because, you have your car note and all of this stuff. And so you have all of this stuff going on, and so you have to plan it. Like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to stay? What's my work day going to be like? Because it's easy to trade and make money when you have a job. Because if you have a good job, you don't really care if you make or lose a little bit of money every day trading. It's all for sport. But at some point, the reality kicks in that this is what feeds you. You eat what you kill. You're a hunter. And you have to change your mindset a little bit. And so it took me months and months of preparation, getting everything ready so that I could hit the ball running when I actually left my job. And so the day I actually left my job, it was so anticlimactic because I'd been already working every day in a very systematic way to get to that point. I didn't get to that point from just a couple months worth of work, and I'm like, I'm done. I get the money. I'm out. It was literally, right, all those years in college and after, where I was trying to figure out my craft, then working with Paul, and then after I'm working with Paul and I'm hitting my groove of very systematically refining my game, my skills, my method, saving my money, and then also getting all my ducks in a row. So, that's a process. And so when the day comes, it just comes because you've already been working for it for so long. Now it's just something you're doing, right? You've already mentally rehearsed it so many times.
So, like, the day when you actually went in to say, I'm done, to your boss,
I'm out!
How did that feel? Like,
it was bittersweet. It was actually a little bit sad because, right, you're saying goodbye to people that paid you, that fed you, that taught you so much. A lot of the stuff that I even know about business that I use in my own company, I have 12 employees, those sayings and mannerisms I learned from my boss, right? Because that was the only job I had. And so it's always bittersweet, sure. And it's scary. You're starting this new leg of your life, but you don't have the backbone of, hey, all these people I've been with the last few years are going to support me, right? You're on your own. And so it's really exciting, but it's really scary, and then it becomes bittersweet. But then by the next day, when you wake up in your own bed and you get to work on your own terms, then it's awesome because it hits you like, okay, I've got to go out and do this now, So the day I quit was really bittersweet and a little bit scary. But the next day, when it's all done and your goodbyes are said and now it's just up to you to go out and do it, that was exciting. And that's when I was like, holy crap, like this could be the rest of my life.
So
if I don't screw it up.
So, like, talk to us, how did that go? Like, the day after and then maybe the next year. And
so actually for the first few months there was a huge adjustment for me. I thought that I was just gonna quit my job and make all this money because I was making good money trading while I was working. And so I thought, wow, without my work and everybody peering over my shoulder, I'm gonna just be making millions of dollars. And that wasn't the case. And it was my own fault. It was for a very specific reason. When I had a job, I got up every morning at the same time. I put my suit on. I had my coffee. I had my breakfast. I went to work. I got there an hour before everybody. I had a very, very specific routine. And I had always had something like that, right? That structure. When I actually left my job, and it's just, I wake up, my desk is right next to my bed, and you don't have to shower, and you don't have to shave, you don't have to do anything. It's your own life. You make and eat what you sow. When you're a trader, well, my structure fell apart. I treated it originally for the first couple months like I had retired, right? I had made it. But when you quit your job and become a trader, you haven't made it. You haven't done anything yet. This is your first step. And so I originally looked at it like this is my last step. Like, hey, this is it. I made it. But in reality, it's just your first step because it's your first day as a trader, your first day as a business. As a trader, you're the CEO of your own enterprise. And you're in day one of a startup. And so you have to go out with the mentality that you are attacking a startup. You have to think of like the day one of Facebook or the day one of any successful business. And me, I treat it as like, oh, I made it. And so it took me a couple months. And then when I'm like, man, I'm not getting the results I want. And that's when I realized, like, I'm not treating my trading like I'm the CEO of a startup. I was treating it as like I've retired because I quit my job. And so I had to change and reframe my thinking. And that's when I really started to hit my stride. I need to put structure to my day. I needed to get up in the morning way before the market, take a shower and shave and have a coffee and talk with my mother and get my work done and all of those things. Make it a job. Like, put on a shirt, put on a pair of pants. Don't just wake up with Doritos in your chest hair and be like, here, I'm ready to trade. It doesn't work like that. It's a job. It's a profession. It's no different than being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, it's a job. You know, you don't just wake up and you're like, oh, I've got $10 million, right? I mean, as a trader, you are the CEO of a startup, and it's up to you to determine how successful your business becomes.
So how did your family think about you quitting your job and taking on trading full time?
Oh man, they were really nervous because I had a pretty cool job. You know, I was the vice president at that recruiting company, and we were a growing company. We had 30 employees at the time, and so it was a nerve-wracking thing, because in their mind, they're like, wow, my son's already successful. And in my mind, I'm thinking I'm not, because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing. And so it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but you know, I'm a big believer in getting buy-in from whether it's your employees or whoever. And so I sold it to them. Hey guys, this is what I'm going to do. This is why I think it's a good idea, right? And it's essentially like I'm showing them a business plan for what I think my trading career could do for me and how I'm already good at it and how I can improve with some work. And I really sold it to them. And so at that point, they're like, okay, well, he's going to be happy. He's got a plan, and it's going to be better for him.